Hi, and welcome to the Culinary Journey. We have a very special show today, and we have a very special guest audience. We have some women from next door, some friends, and new volunteers. But we'll get right to my guest, who is Becky Parmelee from Parmelee Homestead Creations. Hi. Becky teaches canning, fermenting, everything.
Homestead classes. So everything from sourdough to gardening to what to do with all the produce you've grown. So
yes, and we have an array. Some of this is from the farmer's market, but mostly from my garden.
That's exciting.
So it is. Yes. It is. So you've been doing this for a long time.
A long time. I started canning when I was 8. I won't tell you how old I am now, but that was a long time ago. I grew up on a farm in central Iowa and started canning with my mom and my grandma, and now my son cans with me. So it's really exciting. I love clean, wholesome food, and I think everyone should have access to clean, wholesome food. So.
Yeah. So today we're doing fermenting, which, a lot of people, it's how our ancestors preserved food. And then it fell out of fashion for a while. Now it's back in such a huge way. I mean, it's incredible.
It really is. So fermenting kind of died off with the study and discovery of penicillin and how essentially mold is bad for you. But there's this very fine line between preserving your food naturally with healthy microbes versus boiling your food, which eliminates all bacteria. So one is more short-term and one is more long-term, but fermenting is very good for your gut health. So if you have any kind of digestive issues and need all of those good bacterium, so this is the way to go.
Yeah, and I started fermenting, I guess, 2 years ago, and have done many different things, but the benefits are amazing.
They really are.
Your inside appreciates it in a big way.
It's so true. My favorite thing to ferment is actually vinegar. So I have this strawberry basil vinaigrette that I make for my family. It takes a little time. This process is easier. It keeps your kitchen cooler. You're not boiling anything, but you have to be a little more conscious about when you'll get to reap the rewards. So the sauerkraut we make today will be just in time for tailgate season. Yes. So we're ready for you. You just got to plan a little farther out.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So how do you do this sauerkraut?
Okay. Well, shall we just start at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this up. We'll talk about knife skills a little bit, but I want to talk about a few of the safety things. When you're going to be sharing your food with your friends at a tailgate, you want to make sure that for your safety in the kitchen, you are using caution with your knives, that you're never pointing a knife at anybody in your kitchen, that you're wearing closed-toed shoes. But if you're gonna be sharing your food, make sure your hands are clean. Make sure your hair is back. Because this process, fermenting, has no boiling, no sanitation. You want your jars to be clean before you start. You want all of your ingredients to be clean, and you want to be using distilled water because you can't have anything from your pipes contaminating the bacteria that you're putting in your food. So you do want to make sure that you have distilled water and completely clean surfaces for the safety of the people you're going to be serving your food to. So just a few things. You can obviously reuse jars. Classic mason jars can be reused every season. I have some that are over 100, 150 years old. You're just going to be wanting to be looking for a smooth, clean surface on the edge of your jar, so that way there aren't any cracks or any way for undesirables to get into your product. For water bathing, you'd want to make sure that your jar is safe so it doesn't crack under that kind of pressure.
Right.
The cool part about fermenting is you can use a non-boiling jar, right? So if you wanted to reuse a pasta sauce jar that you got at the store, it doesn't undergo that kind of pressure.
Or jelly jars or salsa.
And you can make them in all sorts of different sizes. So if you want sauerkraut for 4 versus sauerkraut for 2, I could have brought a big half gallon. They make these giant crocks that you can do for the whole family. So there's all sorts of different sizes and options. This home fermentation kit is available at most farm stores, and it's also available online. So that is the easiest way to start that. And it includes 3 pieces. It includes a jar, your weight, and your vented lid. So you'll
Okay.
need, go ahead.
Yeah, explain that. Well, you're probably
the
going
vented
to,
lid,
because the venting is
huge, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna put your vegetables in your jar, and then you're gonna add your brine, and the spring acts as a weight. So we're gonna go ahead and push that in, and then you push down like this, and you're gonna make sure all of your vegetables are underneath the liquid layer. And we'll get to that step in just a minute. I'm gonna show you dry, just so I don't spill it on myself.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna make sure all of your vegetables are underneath your liquid, because your liquid will act as the insulation for the healthy bacterium. And then there are several different kinds of vented lids. We have two to show you today. This has 4 little holes on the top, and then it lets out the carbon bubbles.
Yeah,
so
all the
that
gases.
way, all the gases, so it
so you
doesn't
don't have to burp it every day?
You don't have to burp it at all. It's kind of just a set it and forget it. Keep it between 70 and 75 in a cool, dark place, your pantry. Just don't forget about it in the back of a cupboard, right?
Right.
So that's really handy. And again, you can get these online. And then you have another kind of lid we can talk about.
Right. The fermenting weights.
The
This
weights,
is just
yep.
a heavy piece of glass. And, well, I'm not going to put it in there. It might be dirty.
There you go.
And then this cap, you vent. Oops, you just take the nipple off. And then your gases can release. Yes.
Very nice.
These are a little difficult to use.
Yeah?
Yes. I always have a hard, well, no, it goes on just
No,
fine.
it goes just fine. Yeah, there you go.
But sometimes I have difficulty.
Getting them to thread.
Yeah, I
Got
do
it.
want to try the spring jars
Yes, they're my
because I
favorite.
think it might be easier.
And I'm not going to say that one brand is better than another, because I use a lot of Arkansas glass, which is produced over in Jonesboro, but I do enjoy the consistency that you get with long-standing brands, like sticking to that brand. They have a lot of experience and they know what works well. So I would tell you that. Okay, so sauerkraut, you start with some fresh cabbage. You're gonna wanna clean that, and this is probably the simplest recipe. You ready? Okay, so it's distilled water, canning salt, and cabbage.
That's it.
That's it. And thyme.
Yes.
Thyme. And some really good
Yes,
bacteria, right? So, so we're gonna go ahead, and these jars have been cleaned. But we're gonna go ahead and pack this jar. This is a canning funnel, right? So you can get all of the things into the jar. And the nice part about fermentation is that you don't have to worry about headspace. So that's a term that you
Right.
might have covered in your other canning show,
Yeah.
where you have to make sure that the jar is filled exactly correct.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that with fermentation. You have a little more grace.
Right.
So we are gonna go ahead and throw our cabbage in a big bowl. And then we're gonna salt it. And I will give Miss Susan this recipe to put online after our show. But this is one of those measure with the heart kind of things. So I'm gonna show you how my grandma did it, and then give you the real numbers after. Okay, and so canning salt is just a very finely cut salt. That's it, just super finely cut. So you just kind of sprinkle it.
And it has no prussianate or whatever it is in
Nothing.
it. It's
Yep.
just pure salt.
Just pure salt. And so it looks like a ton, but all we're doing is getting the water out of the cabbage. You want your cabbage to melt. So you're gonna kind of suck some of that water up and out
so
of your cabbage.
that's making your brine.
Yes, so we're starting with our brine. So you salt your cabbage as you go, and we're gonna try to cut small and consistent pieces, only so that it all absorbs the brine equally. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So the smaller pieces of cabbage that you cut, the faster your sauerkraut will be done. If you want a crisper kraut, you want larger pieces of cabbage. So if you want it to be like hot dog size, right? Then you're gonna want to do a real fine chop. So if you're making like a tailgate kraut, you'll want to kind of keep an eye on that, on the size of the cabbage that you're putting in. Now you got to remember that the distilled water and the salt are going to shrink your cabbage. It's all
Right.
gonna like mush up and turn an off color and all the things. But you do want to kind of start, it's a little easier if you start with some consistency in your sizing.
Yeah.
So you're going to go ahead and toss this up, break up your cores. You want, sorry about that.
It's going to be all over the place.
It's
It's
all over the
okay.
kitchen, I'm sorry. Okay, and so then, you're going to go ahead and stir that in and get it all salted really easily. And you want everything to be, throw that back in there. You want it all to be coated so that way you can get the brine started. Okay, now you're making this at home, and again, we'll put the recipe online.
Yeah.
Okay, you're making this at home, and this is an important step. You're gonna take all of this beautiful cabbage that you've salted, and you're gonna put it in a colander, and you're gonna wait. So stick your cabbage in a colander after it's salted, put your colander over a bowl, and then stick a dish towel over the top and stick it in your refrigerator. Wait about 4 hours.
I haven't heard. You know, I've always left it on the counter.
You can leave it on the counter, but because we aren't cooking this, I like to put it in the refrigerator at this step because it prevents any unknown microorganisms from jumping in. Yes. Good. I don't want anything else jumping in. So while you're waiting, I like to refrigerate it, but then it's going to seep and it's going to drip, and you're probably, depending on how much cabbage you have, you're going to collect that cabbage water and water your plants with it. So we're going to stuff this jar. We're going to pretend like we did that. We're going to, the magic of television, we're going to skip that step. Yeah. And but at home, don't forget you're going to want to drain your cabbage and give it a little time.
Yeah, and usually at least an hour. Sometimes 2.
Yeah, as long as you're able to wait. So up to 4, I would say up to 4. Anything over 4, you're not going to get much more. Some people do it overnight. Like,
do they?
Yeah. I mean, just depends on how much cabbage you're doing. Yeah. Like, so, yeah. Gloves are completely optional if you're making it for your family. We have another recipe after this, so I'm going to.
Well, I have another.
Right. So you can see that cabbage, sorry if you can see. Cabbage doesn't exactly, it's not a liquid, right? So it doesn't exactly need this funnel, but I wanted to show you what it looks like.
Well, so it keeps it nice and clean. Keeps your area
nice and clean, exactly. So we're gonna pack this in real tight, but that's one of the important parts of making sure your cuts are uniform and even is because it makes it easier to pack your jar. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Tell me what questions you have so far or what you wanna talk about next while I fill this jar, and then we'll start our vinegar, our brine.
Well, I know, on cabbages. If you wanted to add caraway or dill or fennel, when do you do that?
At the last. So you want any dried spice to be on top of your vegetable.
Okay.
Because what'll happen is it will sink as you add your liquid. So if you put it in at the bottom, the vegetables on top never receive that flavor. Okay,
so if you're using, way it just can go down all the way through.
Exactly, because what'll happen is if you're using a dehydrated spice like dried dill versus fresh dill. Okay, so fresh dill you can put in, I would throw it in my cabbage right now, and then put it in the whole recipe. But if you're using dried dill, it's gonna reconstitute at the top of the jar, and then the flavor will infuse the whole brine.
Nice.
Versus it being a fresh vegetable, which has less of the concentrated oils.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I did that. I had some fresh dill.
Sure.
But my sauerkraut was already finished.
Oh, okay.
So I just opened it up and threw it in.
How'd it turn out?
But I did. It tastes really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I took my debubbler.
Right. Yes.
And just kind of stirred it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
And it turned out really good.
That's
amazing. I want to do fennel. I haven't tried that with sauerkraut.
I have not either.
That'd be wonderful.
Right?
Although I have a friend who doesn't like fennel.
It is an acquired taste. It is definitely an acquired taste. But you can add anything, and I shouldn't say anything. You can add almost anything to your sauerkraut. Like you can make kraut out of zucchini. Have you ever had a zucchini slaw?
No.
It's super yummy too. And you do it the same way. You peel your zucchini and then you peel half your zucchini and then salt them. And wait, and it's got a thick enough texture that it holds like kraut does. So
wow.
Yeah, you can make kraut out of almost anything. So let me find my pusher here. Where did I put it? Right here. Look at me. I was prepared. Okay. And this, again, super scientific technique. You can just tell Grandma that you're happy to know. And you shove it down all the way to the bottom of the jar because you want as much kraut in there as you can get. And again, your brine has to go over all of your vegetables.
Oh, yes. In fermentation, you need to keep your vegetables under the brine at all times.
At all times. Anything that floats above the brine, you're going to want to throw out.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not safe to eat the parts that come above the liquid.
Yes. And, of course, you always want to watch for comm yeast.
Exactly. Super important. You don't want anything that looks moldy on the top of your jar. Don't eat that part.
Yeah, and comm yeast, you just take a paper towel or something and just wipe it off.
Right.
It's not going to hurt you, but it doesn't look very pretty.
Exactly.
I have had it form on one or two things. But it was, I just cleaned it off and still ate it.
Right. You just have to, slide it off. It's not going to make you sick. So you just doesn't taste good, right? It's not going to make you sick. It just doesn't taste good. So, okay. So now we've got our jar most of the way full, and I'm going to wipe this off.
Do you ever use vinegar to wipe it off?
I do. Especially when you are putting vinegar in that recipe. This is distilled water because we're putting distilled water in this recipe. Okay, and you had some measuring spoons for me.
Yep.
Okay, on top of your cabbage, this measurement counts because when we were straining our cabbage, that salt comes out with the water.
Okay.
But this measurement is like legit counts. So we've made one, and we are going to do a quarter, if I can, yes.
Oh, I know there's a
quarter of a teaspoon.
These measuring spoons are great because there's a smidge, a pinch.
Right, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all
perfect.
the extras.
Okay, so this one counts, and again, we'll put that recipe online. The first one, that number's not so important because we've let it soak out. That salt is not salt you're consuming. This number is salt you're consuming. Okay, and then we're gonna top it with distilled water. Got the bubbles? See how we packed it down and it all filled? There you go, okay. And then the last and most important ingredient is thyme. So if you were gonna put dried spices in, this is where you would do that.
Okay.
And then we are gonna put this down, and we can either pass it around or
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Or you can all come up and look at it after. But yeah, there's a reason I showed you dry. There's a reason I showed you dry. Okay, so now you're gonna see, I don't know which camera, okay. See how this little one's floating right here?
Yeah.
Don't eat that one, but it's still below the brine. So when you go to shake it, when you go to stir it, like at week 4 and you go to taste it, you'll take it out and then you can move your spring. So if you see too many things floating, you can take them out and then repress your spring, because what'll happen is this tension will drop as your cabbage starts to ferment.
Shrinking up.
As it's fermenting, yep. So what you'll see is that this fresh ingredient is this tall, and you can even mark your jar. Some people like put rubber bands around their jar when they're learning how to do it. So just put a rubber band here, and then you'll watch it go down over the course of those weeks. So yeah, 3 to 4 weeks, taste it. Up to 3 months, it'll be good to eat. But this will be ready next month for you to take tailgating. And that is your very first batch of sauerkraut.
All right, we're gonna take just a real quick break. And when we come back, we're going to move on.
Sounds great.
More stuff.
Experience the Macadoodle's difference. Shop leisurely in our friendly and spacious store 7 days a week. Browse our wine cellar. We offer the top labels and hot new wines. Wide aisles, hardwood floors, and easy-to-find, well-lit displays make shopping enjoyable. Customers are our #1 priority. If you can't find something, our courteous staff will assist you, and we'll even help you to your car with your purchase. World-class customer service. Largest and best selection in the area. Low prices. Experience the Macadoodle's difference today.
Hi, welcome back. We are going to move on. We did sauerkraut, and you do have to let this sit for quite some time. With fermenting, things will sit on your counter or your cool, dark spot for anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks.
It's true.
You know, you start tasting them, and then, decide whether or not you like that flavor. If so, switch your caps, get it in the refrigerator, and there it'll stay. Put it on salads. Of course, sauerkraut you're going to put on brats or hot dogs or...
It's a really important step. So you're going to want to switch your cap, because if you leave this open air fermenting cap in your refrigerator, you're going to start to pick up all the flavors of your refrigerator.
Okay.
So you're going to want to switch to a solid cap or a 2-piece cap for whatever comes next, because if you leave your fermentation lid on in the refrigerator, you will pick up all of those refrigerator flavors. So don't forget to change that. That's a real important step. So let's see, you want to do peppers?
Yeah,
you want to do cucumbers?
My favorite fermented food is green peppers.
I
don't care if they're red or orange or purple.
Right, they're really good.
They taste like pickles.
Right.
I mean, they're really, really good. And beets, green peppers. But beets.
Beets.
Oh.
They're so sweet.
They are.
So when we talk about how long you let something ferment, it's really a matter of palate flavor, right? Like it's texture, how crisp do you want it? How soggy do you want it? What are you putting it on? Are you putting it on brats or are you putting it over baked beans, right? Because the texture is different. The salt content of what you're contributing it to is different. Okay. But that's a preference. And then flavor, you know, is like the longer you let it ferment, the deeper that flavor is going to become. Okay. So, yeah. So peppers, again, another crowd favorite, are... Again, best when they're uniformly cut. But you know, you can't use hot peppers for fermentation.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't tried. I've canned them, but
right?
I have not tried to ferment them.
Right. We can make hot sauce. We can do all sorts of things. But anything over about 500,000 on that Scoville scale has too much capsaicin and is naturally an antibacterial property, has antibacterial properties, and they won't ferment because nothing can grow in that jar. Okay. So you need to stick with your bell peppers and your sweet peppers. Banana peppers are really good for that. All sorts of yummy things that way. And it is kind of the same process that we're going to just do again with a different vegetable. So peppers, sea salt, water, and peppers. So you kind of get to pick and see what you want, how you want those to turn out. Now, some people like dice them, so it's like relish texture, and some people do long spears, so they're like a pickle texture. It's very much up to you, whatever you're going to use those for. And peppers will take a little bit longer to ferment because they have a thicker, denser skin tissue, right? So you want something that's crispy to snap into, and those are going to take longer to absorb and actually ferment. So, but you can use almost any vegetable, like we talked about, zucchini, cabbage, cucumbers, beets, all all of the yummy things. So
the other thing that's really good, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go for it.
Pickles.
Pickles.
Really good. Put a little garlic, put your different spices in.
Right.
Oh, they are really, really yummy.
It's true, they are. They're pretty amazing. Okay, so let's see how full we want this. When you are doing this at home, make sure that if you are using a spicy ingredient, that you give everything clean before you switch back to a non-spicy ingredient. You wouldn't use the same spoon at home. You would want to make sure that you're changing that out. Okay. Let's see, what else is on this list? What do you want to know?
Well, I'm going to talk about the freezer slaw.
Let's do that.
You know, you've got cabbage, and, you know, it does shrink down, and you think it's not going to do a whole lot. Well, I think when I did this sauerkraut, I only had one. But then I had two, and I was watching something and found out about this freezer slaw. So you take your cabbages and chop it up, and then 4 carrots, put them all together in the bowl, salt it, and then you're going to make a brine. And it's going to be 2 cups of water, 2 cups of apple cider vinegar,
Yes.
2 cups of sugar, and then 2 teaspoons of mustard seed and 2 teaspoons of celery seed.
And now that's a brine that you're going to cook on your stove.
Right.
Yes.
So that is going to be warm.
Right.
But you need to let it cool all the way down before you add it. You know, you're going to start putting your mix into your jar, and you wait until that brine is cool. Then you can put it in, put your weight on it, and stick it in the corner. Now, the great thing about this is it tastes just like coleslaw right out of the jar. But if you wanted to drain it and do like a mayo base or another type of coleslaw dressing that you like, it's good to go.
It works for that too.
Yeah.
So when you can your sauerkraut, when you water bath your sauerkraut, or pressure can your sauerkraut, it cooks it, it makes it soft, changes that texture. When you freeze it, it does the same thing. So you're getting that from the grocery store texture without all of the hassle of heating up your kitchen, which is nice.
Well, it was really good. You know, I did put a couple jars in the freezer.
Yeah.
But the rest I did in freezer bags.
Nice.
And, then put freezer paper over it, identify it and date it, and in they go. So I'm set for a little while.
And do we need to talk about which jars you can freeze?
Oh, they have to be straight up and down?
Exactly. There you go. Okay, so don't freeze a skinny neck jar. If it's a classic with this little neck here, what'll happen is when your liquid expands, it'll blow the top off your jar. So don't freeze this kind of jar, but you may freeze a wide mouth jar. Okay, so just make sure that you're using some kitchen safety. They also make. Maybe I didn't bring it.
Did you bring the
BPA-free one? No. They also make BPA-free plastic mason jars, so you can use something like that as well. So, yes. Brines that you have to cook, yes, are incredibly temperature sensitive because they'll change the texture of your vegetables. But they are easier to flavor infuse. So when you're adding the spices, use a brine. It's often easier to use a brine that you have to cook. For dehydrated spices. Can we talk about recipe selection?
Yeah.
Okay, so super important to trust your recipes. You have to know where they're coming from. I have some books up here on the front corner from the USDA, the Department of Ag, Ball Home Canning. You can trust your grandma, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would not trust Fred's blog. Like, no, just... might be an expert, but you're going to want to find a recipe that you can validate in 3 to 4 different sources for an uncooked product that you can share with your family. So although you can try something new from the internet, go try a new recipe, that might not be the one you take to a tailgate. That might not be the one you share with your friends, just in case, right? Then like make it 2 or 3 times, make sure that's a solid recipe. But I always tell people to know where your recipes are coming from, to trust where your recipes are coming from, because that's really important, especially in something like food preservation. You want your food to last for 18 months or, in theory, 30 years, right? Your jar will last until that ring gives out. And they guarantee them for 18 months, but I've seen jars last decades. So you just really want to be careful with what you're putting in those jars, because we all know that it's an effort, a labor of love.
Yes. Well, yeah, because you spend a lot of time doing all this and then letting it ferment until it gets to that perfect stage.
Right.
Before you're going to dig into the jar and eat it.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, you have to be careful with that. Well, like even in canning, which, you know, on the tops have that little rubber ring that swells because you're going to put it in boiling water so that you get a good seal.
Exactly. Did we talk about the 3 safe ways of preserving your food?
No, I don't think so. Did we?
I don't know. Let's hit it real fast before we run out of time.
Yes.
So we've talked about like traditional canning, water bath, and pressure canning, or depending on the pH of your recipe and the pH of the ingredients you're trying to preserve. But then there's also dehydrating and freeze drying, which is removing the water, and then fermenting and pickling and curing all fall into salt. So there are 3 safe ways of preserving your food. It is sun, sugar, and salt. All of them involve removing the water because bacteria lives in the water. So this is why when you're fermenting, you have to use distilled water, because otherwise you're just putting your family at risk with those unknown bacteria. So the 3 ways to safely preserve food long term: sun, sugar, salt.
Perfect.
There you go.
The 3 S's.
The 3 S's. There we go.
Good. Well, so you're going to salt this now,
I'm going to salt this now, and then we're going to throw in some distilled water and squish this lid on. And I may have overfilled this, but you don't have to. We talked about the different kind of vegetables. You don't have to drain. You don't have to wait on peppers because it's got such a dense texture. You don't have to like drain them like you do cabbage.
You just put it all in.
You just put it all in.
Throw it on the counter.
Yep. You might have to wait.
In that dark place.
Right. You might have to wait a little longer.
Yeah.
But you don't have. It's less in the prep. So there you guys go.
That's a pretty one,
isn't it? And it's going to be gorgeous in about a month. So so cabbage is 3 to 4 weeks, and peppers are definitely 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, we are just about out of time, but I want to thank you for coming in and bringing all this and kind of hopefully answering some questions that somebody might have. We've got a question here? No? Okay. If you had any questions, hopefully Becky has helped with that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of resources where you can find out a lot more about canning, fermenting, and actually my show for September will be on canning. I do both electric, well, I have an electric canner that does both
fun.
water bath and pressure.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you.
Of course.
And remember, we're a nonprofit. We are all volunteer. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, and we'll see you next month. Bye.